With the recent past being so integral to the makeup of Berlin, a primer in modern German history is essential to fully appreciate the city. So let's begin at the German Historical Museum.
Oh, look at this. Massive. Man, I don't know which way to turn. I'm already so excited. Man, you can see it's massive. Oh, I'm going to be here all day.
The museum is divided into 9 sections, presented in chronological order. Before focusing on Germany's modern history, it's worth taking note of the key events in its early years. In the Middle Ages, the death of Charlemagne, king of the Franks and father of Europe, leads to the Treaty of Verdun that partitions his Frankish Empire. West Francia forms the Kingdom of France, whilst East Francia forms the Kingdom of Germany, which would be the largest part of a more significant coalition known as the Holy Roman Empire. In the Renaissance period, German theologian Martin Luther's 95 Theses begins the Reformation movement that divides the Holy Roman Empire between the Protestant North and the Catholic South, culminating in the devastating Pan-European 30 Years' War, where 1 in 4 people die. The resulting Peace of Westphalia awards independence to the Protestant states, effectively ending the 700-year rule of the Holy Roman Empire. The Enlightenment period sees the emergence of Protestant Prussia challenge Catholic Austria to be the leading German-speaking state. Away from politics, the German Enlightenment sees advancements made by Goethe in literature, Kant in philosophy, and Bach, Mozart and later Beethoven in music. The beginning of the industrial period sees Napoleon rule or have great influence over almost all of Europe, giving growth to anti-imperial support for nationalism, democracy and liberalism, eventually resulting in the multiple European revolutions of 1848. The German campaign, calling for a single unified country, introduced the German question, which was whether Germany should exist as Greater Germany, led by Austria and its multicultural empire, or Lesser Germany, led by Prussia at the exclusion of Austria. The question was finally answered with the Austro-Prussian War, which saw Prussia victorious over its old rival. Finally, we reached the founding year of 1871, where Prussian leader Otto von Bismarck unites 26 German-speaking states to form the German Empire. Overseen by the German Emperor but governed under the diplomatic skills of Chancellor Bismarck, the first 17 years sees the new country prosper. However, when Wilhelm II becomes emperor, he decides to run the country himself and lead the German Empire into a new direction of colonial expansion, forcing Bismarck to resign. In 1914, Wilhelm declares unconditional support for the Austro-Hungarian Empire's invasion of Serbia. The ensuing Great War gives Wilhelm the opportunity to expand into both Western and Eastern Europe. In 1918, with the German Empire on the brink of defeat, the German Chancellor announces the abdication of Wilhelm II in the event known as the German Revolution. The Great War is over, 17 million people have died, and Germany is now a republic.
So I've just come outside. Because I'm starving. That museum was taking ages. It was an amazing museum. But I think I only got about, halfway.
Post-World War I Germany, commonly known as the Weimar Republic, are forced to sign the Treaty of Versailles, which dictates that Germany takes sole blame for the war, lose all colonies, downsize the military, and pay enormous reparations. As a result, hyperinflation occurs, when in 1918 you needed one of these to buy a loaf of bread. 5 years later, you needed 200 billion of them.
Lots of hardship as the Treaty of Versailles was severely punished by the German state, but who did that affect? The German people.
Outraged by the treaty and exhausted by the economic environment, the Weimar Republic saw the rise of 2 politically extreme groups. To the left was the Communist Party, and to the right was the National Socialist German Workers' Party, otherwise known as the Nazi Party.
It's still quite a striking image, even though I know it's just coloured material.
In 1923, the Nazis and its paramilitary known as the SA attempt to seize power by force in the Munich Putsch. The Nazi Party leader Adolf Hitler is arrested and sentenced to 5 years. In prison, he writes Mein Kampf, an autobiography expressing his hatred of Jews and communism while supporting social Darwinism and the colonial conquest of Eastern Europe, which Hitler calls his Lebensraum, or living space. After only 9 months, Hitler is released on good behaviour, but he returns to a Weimar Republic that is in the process of a remarkable economic recovery and cultural renaissance. However, in 1929, the golden 20s comes to an end when the US stock market crashes and the Great Depression sets in. With unemployment soaring to nearly 30%, many young men joined the Nazi paramilitary, the SA. In the elections held during the Depression, the Nazi and Communist Party made tenfold gains, with the Nazi Party eventually winning the most votes in 1932. Although not enough to form a Nazi Party majority government, in 1933, President Hindenburg reluctantly appoints Adolf Hitler as the Chancellor of a coalition. Within just 3 months, Hitler has acquired dictatorial powers that see civil liberties suppressed and all other political parties banned. A year later, upon the death of the president, Hitler officially becomes Führer. Over the next 6 years, Nazi Germany sees unemployment virtually eliminated in what has been called the economic miracle, due in part to the public building works programme, which had in its plans the construction of the stupendous Volkshalle.
Look how small he is.
Inspired by the Roman Empire and designed to be the largest dome structure in the world, it would have been able to seat 180,000 people.
That's massive.
And there is a radical societal change that sees the promotion of the Aryan family, whilst the rise of the professional paramilitary, the SS, sees increased state persecution, especially amongst the Jews. The rest of the world also note the resurgence of the German military through rapid and illegal rearmament. In 1936, Hitler tests the international community by outwardly violating the Treaty of Versailles when he reoccupies the demilitarised Rhineland. With little response, Hitler begins his goal of conquering his living space in the east. First Austria falls, then Czechoslovakia, and then on the 1st of September 1939, Poland. 2 days later, Britain and France declare war on Germany. Armed and prepared, Hitler continues out into Nazi Europe, conquering in quick succession Denmark, Norway, Luxembourg, Belgium, the Netherlands, France.
This photo was taken in 1940. The war started in 1939. That was a pretty quick time he managed to get to Paris.
Yugoslavia and Greece. With the rest of Europe either in coalition or neutral, only Britain is left to defeat.
A German Nazi board game called We're Driving Against England.
However, Hitler decides to drive against the Soviet Union instead, resulting in them joining the Allies in 1941. Soviet resistance proves fierce, and the fighting much longer than Hitler had planned. In 1944, British and American-led troops sail into German-occupied France. Now fighting on two fronts, the stretched and exhausted German army are beaten back from their occupied territories. In 1945, now surrounded, with the US and Soviet troops shown here meeting for the first time, the Soviets are the first to enter the German capital, and after a week of fighting on the brink of defeat, Hitler commits suicide in his Berlin bunker. In Europe, the Second World War is over. Up to 80 million people have died. It is the deadliest war in human history.
I need another food break. I've been in that museum for ages. I think it's the longest I've ever been in a building.
To manage the war's aftermath, the Potsdam Conference sees Germany split into 4 zones, each occupied by one of the Allies. In the same manner, the capital Berlin, in the Soviet section, is also split into 4 zones. In 1949, with the Allies in disagreement regarding Germany's ideological future, the US, Britain and France merged their sections to create a new democratic country in the West, whilst the Soviets formed the communist satellite state in the East. Finally, we arrive at the last section of the museum, where the Cold War sees 2 Germanys separated by the inner German border, a metal fence that realises the previously symbolic Iron Curtain. Looking for greater freedom, many East Germans flee to the west via the Berlin emigration loophole. So in 1961, the Soviets build a wall surrounding the western Allied half of the city, and literally overnight, the people of Berlin are separated from friends and family. With such division, the 2 Germanys and the 2 Berlins not only develop different politics and economics, but different cultures. In 1989, the Soviet regime collapses and the inner German border and the Berlin Wall collapse with it. Germany is now reunified and goes on to form and lead the European Union, championing democracy and human rights.